On the show this week, Pam's Tarot, original artwork only, bridge size edition. Hi everyone, welcome back. A short video this week, one of my flip-throughs and reviews. And I want to cheer myself up this week by telling you a kind of like a rather funny anecdote while flipping through this rather interesting deck. It's a Rider Waite Smith reissue, and its main gimmick is that it's just the artwork only. Here you see Fool, but there's no The Fool written anywhere, and there's no letter or anything like that. Clearly, with these artwork only decks, it's never really artwork only, is it? Because they have to mess with the deck in order to get the dimensions right. This is bridge size, by the way. In other words, it's a little bit smaller. I like bridge size tarot cards. I don't need tarot cards to be great big galumphing things anymore. I've done all that galumphing, and now I like convenient little things. So here's a standard tarot card. A great big galumphing one, and it says The Fool. So this is a nice 1990s edition, and you know, it's got Pamela's writing here. I just want to explain what I mean. When they say artwork only, what they do is they kind of mess with the dimensions. So if you look here at that sun, that's not Pamela Coleman Smith's sun, is it? That's Pamela Coleman Smith's sun. So this is someone else completing her sun. And then if you look at the base, I know I'm being a bit what's the word? Anal, fastidious. If you look at the mountains there, that's Pamela Coleman Smith's mountains, and that's what we now have. It's not like they discovered Pamela Coleman Smith's, originals with extra bits that had never been printed before. Not a bit of it. Someone sat down there with a computer or with a pen and paper and drew extra bits. And you can see that there's more cliff here. More cliff has been drawn on. I could go on, I could show you how that applies in other cards as well, but that would just be a bit silly, wouldn't it? You can see here this little bit of rock face here has been expanded. It's actually been doubled up, hasn't it? Here you can see this bit has just been doubled. That bit has just been repeated. So it's not really artwork only at all. It's artwork that's been kind of like screwed around with, but what the deck offers is a kind of refreshing simplicity. So having held forth on the subject of artwork only decks, I shall now flip through this deck. The cards are on a very nice cardstock. They've got a slightly linen feel to them, which is nice, is rather good. And the colours are bright. They're not really subtle. You could even say they've been turned up a little bit. And the size of the cards is really good. So yeah, it is great, isn't it, to have that very, very simple graphic look. And if you know your tarot cards, if you've been reading them for a while, and you know which card is which and what number is which, then this is quite a nice thing to put down on the table and do a reading with. Anyway, my funny story is this, that I got these cards from a website called FlipThrough cards, which is rather interesting. It's one of those places where, independent designers just sell their stuff. And there's all sorts of things. There's variations on Rider Waite Smith. There's, Rider Waite Smith with antiqued bits and fake tea stains on and things like that. All really good stuff. And there's also this one. And I was rather intrigued because they said that they were selling a deck with 8 new court cards. And they said 8 extra court cards featuring alternative design and coloration for asterisk feminine pages and knights, inspired by the old Visconti decks, and the only Rider Waite Smith I know featuring female pages and knights. Tarot à la carte. Das Anraths-Tarot nach A.E. Waite by Renata Anraths. So I was very kind of excited by all this talk of female pages and knights, because of course that would be a great thing to have. It would fix the gender imbalance a little bit in the Rider Waite Smith. So I didn't read the small print very carefully. Actually, all it says is that that they had done something to produce extra court cards, and they had been inspired by the work of this German lady Renata Anraths. And I could have gone online and Googled Renata Anraths and found out what her line was, what her gimmick was, but I didn't. I was young and naive. That was about 6 months ago. And so I sent off my money and I got this deck. Now this isn't a hard luck story. It's quite a funny story. Let me just show you the Pentacles. It's refreshing, isn't it, to have no writing? Just the lovely designs with the little extra bits. So anyway, the point of my story is that the deck arrived and I was very excited because I thought I was going to be the only tarot reader in town who had a Rider Waite Smith deck with female pages and knights. So, well, here's I'll pull out the pages and knights. Page, knight, queen and king, page, knight, queen, king, page, knight, queen, king. You can tell where this story's going, can't you, really? I was to some extent sold a pig in a poke, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. Queen, king. Now, huge excitement. Here are the extra cards. And there's the page of coins. There's the page of cups. Page of wands. Page of swords. So as you can see, what they've done is they have just taken the page, and in order to distract our attention, they've given us a mirror image, and then they've repeated this part of the skirt and, photoshopped it in. So instead of being a hot young thing in doublet and a hose, he's now a non-binary person in a sort of rather unfashionable midi. I'm not quite sure. I think it's an improvement. Let's look at all of them. The page of swords. I mean, this is such a hot get-up, and this is horrendous. He looks like he has stepped out in his petticoats. And clearly this is not really a female page. I mean, they said feminine on the website, so I suppose I can't really ask for my money back. I would say, I don't know, it's just a guy in a skirt. I mean, this one I find, in terms of costume, kind of credible. It's a longer cloak, isn't it? It's a longer robe. It's still not nearly as nice. And finally, this one is absolutely awful. I mean, I was determined to incorporate these so-called feminine pages and knights into my tarot deck and use it in my practice as a reader, but I can't imagine, you know, laying that on my clients. Someone in such, he looks like he's wearing a tea cozy, whereas we all know this is a very nice image, and everyone likes a little glimpse of thigh, ladies and gentlemen, don't they? The knights are kind of even sillier. There's the, you know, there are our normal knights that we know and love so well. And the feminine knights, look, and the feminine knights are just like, they're the same thing, but they've been incorporated into a David Bowie album cover, haven't they? So I'm not quite sure why one would say that was more feminine. That's what's happened to the Knight of Cups. The sky's gone a bit pink. So maybe the sky is having a feminine moment. Knight of Pentacles, my favourite. And he's in front of a sort of like a tie-dye sky, isn't he? Someone has dipped the sky in different coloured pots of ink prior to going to Glastonbury. Sorry, I'm a bit grouchy today, but really, that's what happens when you get sold a pig in a poke. And then the feminine Knight of Swords, ladies and gentlemen, which I quite like actually. You know, a splash of purple there. But the thing is, if you were to pop these into your deck, they would look completely different from the whole of the rest of the deck. They would look like, you know, the psychedelic Rider Waite, which is fine. And there is a psychedelic Rider Waite, and I kind of quite want it. But I don't want a deck which just has, you know, 4 psychedelic knights and then 4 pages who've had their skirts somehow let down rather disastrously. So anyway, that's my funny pig in a poke story, but I haven't finished yet, because what I want to say is, having been tricked by these people with their promise of the feminine pages and knights, I have to admit that I really like this deck. I like bridge size. Look, they fit into your hand. They're so nice, and the quality is really great. A little bit matte there, a little bit of linen effect. They're nice on the back, and yeah, it's refreshing to have no writing. So, you know, oddly enough, having been all cross at having been swindled, I later found out that this is one of the decks I use most. There's one other deck I use, which is the Centennial, this fantastic deck, which I also have in bridge size. But you know, these are really great, and they've got the slightly antiqued look, like they've been hanging around in a gypsy's caravan for 30 years. So I actually I tend to use these in the daytime because the colours are muted down, and then these I tend to use in the evening, because if you use those in the evening, they're really gloomy and depressing, and if you use these in the daytime, they're a little bit too bright and jolly, a little bit too hysterical. So these two make a good pair, and they're both borderless, and they're both extremely nicely produced. This is an indie deck, and this is you know, a US game system, big production there. But anyway, so that's my story for today. Thanks for listening to me whinge and whine and moan, and I was really just trying to cheer myself up by chatting about my experiences with online shopping. I'll be back next week with a fuller, longer video. I will be showing my face and telling some jokes and giving some tips on how to read tarot cards and things. I release videos every week now. This is the new me. So tune in, same bat time, same bat channel, and stay well till next time. Bye.